We are back live. Thanks for joining us this morning on MorningLine. Councilman Steve Glover's with us this morning, talking about, among other things, the proposed property tax increase in Metro Nashville. Good to see you, Steve. Thanks for joining us. We have more phone calls for you, and they waited through the break. They were kind enough to do that. So let's take a few more of those. We've got next Joe. Joe, do you have a question or comment for Councilman Glover?
Yes, I do.
Sure, go ahead.
Metro services are already suffering because of pay rate and these bunch of idiots that tore up a bunch of police cars. He's talking about a $30,000 automobile that they've tore up, and no telling how many of them. That's where that's a waste of money. It's not helping us any at all. And one other question I've got for Mr. Glover is he one that's pushing for the resignation of Chief Anderson?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to get to that as well. We can't ignore some of the news the last couple of days. Your take on that and the concept that's going around the country, more so in other cities than here, but it's been mentioned about defunding the police department and coming up with a new way of doing public safety. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Nick, here are my thoughts. It's very simple. No to a resignation. The council does not have that. Excuse me. The council does not have that authority, number one. Number two, no to defunding the police. No. If we lose at that piece that is so vital to the safety of our country, to the safety of our city, our state, then that will be a massive mistake. And so therefore, no, I'm a big no on that, on all aspects. Look, if the chief needs to, if things need to be re-examined there, we need to do it in a time where we can do it again, just like the budget, where we're logical about it, not emotional. And right now, we're being emotional about too many things. And I realize that might make some people mad, but too bad. We have a lot going on in this world, and we need to stay focused on what our goal is. It should be to make sure we're taking care and provide public safety for our citizens here in Nashville. That actually is one of the main things the local government's for. So no and no.
All right, we've got another phone call for you. We'll go to Mike next. Mike, good morning. What's your question or comment, sir?
Yes, my name's Mike, and Mr. Glover, first I'd like to say thank you for standing up for the citizens in Nashville. What's your opinion on, also I agree with you that the second hearing was hijacked to where nobody could really voice their opinion, but why do you feel that the other council members are supporting this when they know this is going to hurt everybody, whether you own an apartment, because those tax hikes are going to filter down to that cost, a home, a business. Why do you think that your members are supporting this tax increase?
Thank you, Mike.
So,
appreciate
Nick,
the call.
Yeah, I think he said his name was Mike. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mike. I'm sorry. I'm getting old and I can't hear real well. All right. So here's the bottom line. They have a lot of cover. It makes it real easy for them to say, well, this is what my constituents want. I mean, I'm getting 300 to 500 emails a day of people saying, defund the police, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. That's not our job. Our job is to sit down and look at how do we take care of all of the citizens of Nashville. When I said we were hijacked, we were hijacked. And people can sit there and say, I can't believe you would say something like that. Well, it's not hard to say it. We were watching the traffic on the internet, on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on Facebook, where they're telling people to keep calling in. It's working. So we should have recessed. The vice mayor and I have talked about this. And look, let me tell you, bless the vice mayor. He's got a tough job right now, and he's just trying to do the right things and keep us on track. The vice mayor and I have been around this stuff for a long, long time. We don't always agree on issues, but have always been friends. And so when people started beating him up and hijacked the meeting, et cetera, people tend to get really angry whenever you call them out on something. I tend to get very angry whenever I do call people out and they don't have the sense, is what I'll call it, common sense, to listen to what the people are saying. And so that's the other reason I think we need to take at least one more week to sit down and look at whatever the amendments are going to look like, look at my substitute. I've just finally got it back last night from finance. I don't like it because it's much higher than I wanted it to be, about 21%. It should be 10%. And for us to take away our options of what's available to keep your money in your pocket, well, we're cheating the taxpayers. That's my opinion. And as the old story goes, and I'm sticking with it.
Okay. So again, what we're looking at least from your proposal now, if you can integrate a wheel tax into it, would be a 21% property tax increase, which in your mind is too much, but that's what finance said will work if you meld that with a wheel tax.
Well, and what I want to do is I want to fight back and say, no, I believe we can use the municipal liquidity fund or the taxation anticipation fund, which is a very, very low interest rate. Once again, sort of like a line of credit. Look, our credit looks very good right now. We should be able to utilize that. That's what business does whenever you hit rough times, when your cash flow is not where it needs to be. And why we haven't explored every aspect of that is beyond my wildest dreams. We just seem to think go to a 32% property tax increase, and that's our only option. Well, we're on the air, and so I'll be nice, but I would just say malarkey.
All right, let's go to another phone call for you. We've got Rob. Rob, good morning. Hi, Rob.
Yeah, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
The worst thing they can do is raise the property taxes because it's going to be passed right on to the renters. They're going to raise the rent on the poor people around town. Property owners will pass that on, and the poor people will be the ones that suffer. And if you want to do something to increase to let the police stay in the power of the police, get rid of the union, the police union. That's your problem up there with the police. It's not the police themselves as much it is the union protecting the police.
Okay. You want to comment on some aspect of that with regard to, yeah, you're right. Costs and expenses and taxes eventually will be passed on from those who can do so if you're paying, right?
Well, I think if you want to understand what this actually means to your pocketbook, there's a group out there that actually put together a website. It's Low Tax for Nash, so LOW tax for the number 4 and then NASH.com. And it will show you for every cut that might take place, how it would lower you from that 30% or 32% down. And, and it has a renters section in there. That's why I brought that up, because the renters are the ones who are going to really take it on the cheek here, Nick. Mm-hmm. You know, your home mortgage payment, it will go up proportionally as far as what is the actual property tax. Landlords can say, I'm sorry, I had to raise your rent 32% because the government raised the property tax 32%. I don't have a choice here. Well, we all know that's not correct, but we also know that's what's going to happen, and it will hurt the people who can least afford it. We're going to choke them to death.
Squeeze in another couple quick phone calls before we have to move on, Steve, and I want to get you in here with Victoria. Victoria, good morning. Go ahead, Victoria.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to say, number one, y'all saying that y'all don't want to get rid of Chief Anderson. I'm going to make sure y'all get rid of Chief Anderson, and you too. Because number two, my son got killed, okay? And I'm going to come up there to make sure some of them councilmen get rid of.
Okay, and that is Vicki Hambrick, and of course her son was killed in that shooting involving Officer Delkey, which is a case, by the way, Steve, that once juries come back, it could go as soon as this fall, which is going to put Nashville in the spotlight on, in these types of cases, and she obviously feels very emotional with regard to the police chief.
Well, I'm not going to get in that. I wasn't there. If anybody thinks, I don't care, what color we are, but if anybody thinks that I don't like someone else, they're incorrect. I try to look at everything, and I try to be very thorough in the way I discuss things and understand it. But that's an ongoing case. I'm not going there. I'm simply saying that my position is we do not defund the police. That does not help our community. And I'm not moving off that position because it's the wrong thing to do, period.
Okay. Gotcha. Let's take one more phone call for you, if that's all right. We'll go next to Paul. Paul, good morning. Do you have a question or comment for the councilman?
Yes. Am I speaking with Councilman Glover?
Yes, you are, sir. Go ahead.
Yes.
All right. My statement is that I totally agree, and I give a big kudo, as they say, to Steve Glover, because you have to exercise the right thinking, and right thinking is in this man's mind. And I'm glad to know that there are people like Steve Glover that are in the council that will listen to Steve when if he has to present this case up in some shape or form to council members that don't understand how critical it is that Steve keep his position where he is with regarding defunding and getting rid of Chief Anderson. That's a big no-no. We have got to have Chief Anderson. It's critical to have him right now.
Okay, Steve. I imagine you're hearing from a lot of your constituents that are supportive of the stand you've taken in general on all these issues right now.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Nick, a lot of people think we make money doing this. We don't. I lose a lot of money doing it, and I'm not complaining about it. I knew what I was getting into, and I don't have a problem with that. But it is so gratifying to hear folks that actually are watching and paying attention, because this is important. We're playing with people's lives right here, and for us to rush through a process and do something that obviously will have a negative effect on the people of Nashville, it's the wrong thing to do. And so therefore, that's why I always try to do my research. I try to look at every aspect. I try to lift every rock and look under it, figure out, how do we do this? How do we do that? And I bring alternatives to the table. And, the reason I keep doing that is because, and I could not hear his name. I'm sorry, Nick. But
yeah, that was
let me
Paul.
tell you, I'm sorry.
Paul?
Okay. It's because of folks like, he will come on and encourage me to keep working on behalf of the people. And so I'm honored and I feel blessed to be able to be here to do this, because I'm not afraid of fighting the quote norm downtown. And we can't keep turning to the taxpayers and asking them to cough up more money and more money and more money and more money. I don't like the wheel tax thing. I don't like my property tax thing. I don't like it at all. I wish 5 years ago we would have started cutting costs, but we didn't. We are where we are. So I think we need to be extremely honest with the public and say, hey guys, this is where we are. We can get through this thing, and then we'll look and we'll be transparent throughout the process. Don't use the word transparency if you're not going to be transparent.
Well, you are definitely transparent. I appreciate you coming on. Whoa, we just broke away. There we are. You're back up. Steve, I wanted to thank you for coming on this morning. Really appreciate it. And I know a lot of our viewers wanted to hear this other point of view when it comes to where we can go on this property tax increase. So we'll certainly be following it. Hopefully we'll hear from you again soon, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Nick. Have a great day.
All right, thank you. Again, we'll take a break, and that is Councilman Steve Glover with some strong opinions on what the city should do next. When we come back, you heard him talk about it a moment ago, that meeting and the way things went and where they go, and he talked about he's on the same page on a lot of things, not everything, but with the vice mayor, who's going to be joining us next as well. We can continue taking your phone calls on some of these same issues with Jim Schulman right after this.